89 years old. 89. And when I say it out loud, it still sounds like a joke. Like when you repeat a number so many times, it loses all meaning. 89 trips around the sun. 89 Christmases. 89 times I've watched the leaves come down and thought, there it goes, another year. But I'm not here to make you feel sorry for me. That's not the point. I'm here because I have something to tell you. And before I do, if something about that title stopped you from scrolling, if something about those first few words sat with you for a second, subscribe to this channel, not as a favor, as something for yourself. Because what I'm about to say is the kind of thing nobody tells you until it's too late to do anything about it. And if it matters to you, there's more here worth hearing. 1 second. The button is right there. Then I'll keep going. Now, here's what I came to say, and you're probably not going to like it. You are wasting your time. All of you. Every single one of you. I can see it. I can see it in your faces. That hurry, that tightness behind the eyes, that thought running through your head even right now, while I'm standing here in front of you. I need to answer that email. I need to finish that project. I need to pick up the kids. I need to stop at the grocery store. I need. I was the same way. Worse, maybe. I worked 42 years in the same building. First National Bank of Cincinnati, the main branch on 4th Street, downtown. 42 years sitting at the same desk, under the same fluorescent light that buzzed just slightly off-key and made everything look a little more tired than it already was. 42 years looking at numbers, moving other people's money from one column to another, filling out forms that nobody was ever going to read. And you know what I remember of those years? Almost nothing. It's all a gray blur, one uniform block of time that went by without leaving a mark. I remember my colleagues, sure. I remember Bill Harker, who drank his coffee black and complained about his back every single morning without fail. I remember Janet Pruitt, who had that laugh, a real honker that would make you jump out of your chair from 3 offices away. I remember the endless meetings where we talked about things that seemed terribly important and that I honestly cannot reconstruct now, not even the general subject. But the days, the weeks, the years, all the same, all spent. And for what? For retirement, I told myself. For security, to give my family a decent life. All valid reasons, understand me. The same reasons somebody would give you right now if you asked. But they are reasons that make you live in the future. Always in the future, never right now. I had a friend, Gary Tillman. He sold industrial equipment, spent his whole career driving I-75 and I-71, making sales calls, always traveling, always rushing. He always used to say, when I'm done, when I finally stop, I'm going to buy a little place on a lake up in Michigan, nothing fancy, and I'll spend my days fishing and not thinking about a damn thing. Gary died at 63, heart attack, on the highway, somewhere between Dayton and Columbus, on his way back from a trade show. The lake house in Michigan he never bought. The quiet mornings he'd imagined, sitting in a boat with the fog still on the water, not thinking about anything. He never had a single one. And when I heard the news, I thought, poor Gary. But I did not think, that could be me. I didn't. Because when you're 50 years old and a friend dies at 63, you tell yourself it's a tragedy, yes, but it's still something that happens to other people. You have time. You're different. You'll get there. But time, you see, time is the great liar. It convinces you there's plenty of it, that there will always be more, that it goes on forever. And it doesn't. It's all right there in front of you, and it's moving while you're busy believing you still have it. I want to tell you something that might make you angry. The right moment does not exist. I know. You've been told your whole life to wait for the right moment, to change careers, to take that trip, to say that thing to that person, to start that thing you've always wanted to start. The right moment. It's a lie. The right moment is now. It's always now. Because it's the only moment you actually have. I waited for the right moment to learn to play the piano. I was 35 when the idea first got into my head. My in-laws had an upright in their living room, a Steinway, old, slightly out of tune. And on Sunday visits, I'd look at it and think, I'd like that. I'd like to know how to do that. But then there was work. Then there were small children. Then there was the mortgage. Then there was always something more urgent, more pressing. At 50, I thought about it again. The kids are older now, I told myself. I have more breathing room. But then came the promotion. And the promotion meant more responsibility, more travel, more evenings at the office. And the piano stayed where it was, a thought that surfaced every now and then and got pushed back down. At 65, the day I retired, I said, now is the moment. Now I have all the time in the world. But at 65, your fingers don't move the way they moved at 35. Your brain doesn't learn the same way. And more than that, at 65, you know you are running toward something that is running toward you. I never learned to play the piano. It's a small thing, I know. It's not a tragedy. It's not as if my life was empty because I can't play the piano. But it's a regret. And regrets, in the end, are the only things left standing when everything else is gone. My wife's name was Eleanor Walsh, then Eleanor Kowalski when we married. She was beautiful, Eleanor. Not beautiful like someone on a magazine cover. Beautiful in that ordinary way that makes you think, this is the person I want to grow old with. We got married in 1961. I was 22, she was 21. Young, foolish, in love. You think it lasts forever at that age. You think love is like in the movies. You just have to feel it this strong right now and it'll always be this way. It's not. Love in the movies lasts 2 hours. Real love lasts decades. And in the decades, there are good days and there are bad days. Days when you look at her and think, I am a lucky man. And days when you look at her and think, who is this person? Eleanor wanted to travel. She always said, when we have the money, when the kids are grown, we'll see the world. She wanted to go to Italy, to Paris, to Ireland, where her grandmother was from. She had a travel magazine she kept in the kitchen drawer, and she'd pull it out sometimes and say, someday, someday, that damned word, someday. We never went. There was always a reason not to. The kids were small, then they were in school, then there was college tuition, then we were helping them with down payments on their houses. Always something, always tomorrow. Eleanor died at 76, pancreatic cancer. 6 months from diagnosis to the end. 6 months during which I woke up every single morning thinking, why didn't we go? Why didn't I take her hand and say to hell with it, let's go? Because I was afraid to spend the money, afraid to take the time off work, afraid of not being responsible. And now she's gone. And Paris is still there, full of people walking its streets, drinking coffee at sidewalk tables, looking at the Eiffel Tower in the evening light. But Eleanor will never see it. And every time I think about it, there's a weight in my chest that doesn't lift. It's not grief anymore. Grief I've learned to carry. It's worse than grief. It's the certainty of having chosen wrong, of having picked the wrong thing. I can see you, you know. I can see you checking the time, thinking, how much longer? When does this end? I have to pick up the kids. I have to get back to that thing. I need to be somewhere else. Go ahead, go. I'm not holding you. But let me tell you one more thing first. One thing that might sound familiar. I had a son. I still do, obviously. His name is Michael. But when I say had, I mean when he was small. When he was mine in the way children are yours when they're young, before they become themselves, and you become a stranger who shares their blood. Michael was 8 years old when something happened. A small thing. One of those things that shouldn't matter but never leaves you. It was a Sunday. I remember it was Sunday because Sunday was the one day I didn't go into the office, though I often brought work home, files and papers I needed to review for Monday. That Sunday, Michael came into the living room where I was going over some documents and asked me, Dad, will you teach me to ride my bike? He'd gotten a new bike, red, with training wheels. The training wheels embarrassed him. He said all his friends had already taken theirs off. He wanted to learn. And I said, sure, buddy, in a little while. Dad just needs to finish this. It's important. It's important. Always that phrase. It's important. And he said, okay. And he walked out. And I went back to my papers. And I read and I highlighted and I made notes. And about an hour later, when I was done, I went to find him to say, "All right, let's go, I'll teach you now." But Michael had already gone outside. He'd asked the neighbor, Mr. Patterson, an older guy who was always out in his yard, and Mr. Patterson had taught him. And when Michael came back in, sweaty and grinning from ear to ear, he said, "Dad, look, I can do it without the wheels." And I said, "That's great, buddy. That's really great." But inside I felt something. I felt that I had lost something. Not a big thing, a small thing, a moment that was never coming back. Because Michael learned to ride a bike exactly once in his life, and I wasn't there. I was 10 feet away, behind a closed door, reading papers I cannot remember anything about. It's important, I had told him, but it wasn't. It wasn't important at all. And those are the things that stay with you, not the achievements, not the money, not the promotions. What stays are the holes, the moments that didn't happen, the things you missed while you were busy believing you were gaining something else. I gained a decent career. I gained a pension that lets me live comfortably. I gained the respect of colleagues, a professional reputation. But I lost Michael learning to ride his bike. I lost Eleanor and the trip she wanted. I lost Gary. He'd call sometimes and ask if I wanted to grab a beer after work, and I'd say, "Can't. I've got things." I lost my father in his last years when he was sick because the hospital visits took time away from the office, and I kept thinking, "I'll go tomorrow. I'll go on the weekend." And then there was no tomorrow. And I had all the time in the world, but there was nobody left to spend it with. There's one more thing I want to say, something that might sound absurd, but it's true. Security doesn't exist. I know that's the opposite of everything you were taught. They told you, study hard, find a steady job, save your money, buy a house, open a 401k, have a plan. They told you security was the whole point. It's a lie. Security is an illusion. You can have a steady job and lose your job. You can own a house and lose your house. You can have money in the bank and the bank can fail. You can have your health and lose your health. Nothing is guaranteed. The only certainty is that one day it ends. And when it does, the only things that matter are the things you did, not the things you accumulated. I spent 42 years accumulating financial security, stability, respectability. And now that I'm here at the end, I can see it was all smoke. The house is too big. The money is more than I'll ever spend. The respectability doesn't go with me into the ground. What I'd want to take, if I could, are the moments, the real ones, the ones where I was present, where I was alive, where I actually felt that I existed. But there aren't enough of them. I have too few. And you? How many do you have? Think about it. Think about last week, last month, last year. How many moments can you remember where you were completely there, where you weren't thinking about something else, where you were just there with the person in front of you, doing the thing you were doing, nowhere else? Not many, right? Because we live somewhere else, always in the future, always in the past, always somewhere in the middle distance of our worries, never here, never now. And by the time we realize we should be here, now, it's already gone. Look, I'm not here to lecture you. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. Everyone makes their own choices, and I'm nobody to judge. But there is one thing I figured out after 89 years, and I'm telling you because it cost me nothing, and it might be worth something to you. Life is not what comes next. It's not when you finish school. It's not when you get the right job. It's not when you pay off the house. It's not when the kids leave for college. It's not when you retire. Life is right now, this moment, here, today, this morning, this afternoon, tonight. It's the person sitting next to you who is trying to talk to you while you look at your phone. It's the light coming through the window. It's the coffee you drink without tasting it. It's everything you're not seeing because you're planning for tomorrow. And when tomorrow comes, it's already today. And you're already planning for the next tomorrow. And that's how the days go, the weeks, the years. And one day you wake up and you're 70 years old and you look back and all you see is fog. Just time that passed while you weren't really in it. I wasn't really in it, not enough. I was always somewhere else in my head. At work I thought about home. At home I thought about work. When I was with my kids I thought about deadlines. When I was at the dinner table with Eleanor, I was thinking about something at the office. I was never completely there. Never. And now that I'm here, now that I have nothing left to do, now that I have all the time in the world to be present, there's nothing left to be present for. Eleanor is gone. Almost all my friends are gone. My kids have their own lives, their own problems. They come see me, yes, but you can feel it. It's duty, not joy. And I don't blame them. I did the exact same thing with my own parents. I sit in my armchair and I look out the window and I think about all the times I could have stopped and didn't. All the times I could have said, not today. Today I stay here. Today I look at my wife. Today I play with my kids. Today I take this moment and I keep it. But I didn't, and now it's too late. There's something that happens to me a lot lately. I dream I'm young again, that I'm 30, 40, 50. I dream I go back and do it all differently. I dream I turn down that promotion. I dream I take Eleanor by the hand and I buy 2 plane tickets to Rome and I say, forget everything else, we're going. I dream I retire 5 years earlier, 10 years earlier, and then I wake up and I'm here, in this body that doesn't always do what I tell it to, in this life that is nearly over, with these regrets that sit in me like stones. I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want you 40 years from now, 50 years from now, to be sitting in an armchair like me thinking, why didn't I? Why did I wait? Because I know what you'll tell yourself. You'll tell yourself the same things I told myself. That you had responsibilities, that you had to think about the future, that you had to be serious, reliable, responsible, and you'll be right, but you'll also be wrong. Yes, responsibilities are real. The future is real, but the present is real too. And the present doesn't wait. It doesn't ask your permission. It doesn't tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, just so you know, I'm passing. It just passes. And by the time you notice, it already has. So what am I telling you? I'm telling you this. Call that person. Take that trip. Say the thing you've always meant to say. Learn the thing you've always wanted to learn. Now, not next year, not when you have more time, not when the moment is right. Now, because the right moment doesn't exist. There is only now. And someday, years from now, when you're old like me, when you're sitting in a chair looking out a window, at least you'll have something to remember, something real, something you did because you wanted to, not because you had to. I don't have that. What I have are regrets, and a travel magazine in the kitchen drawer with Ireland circled in pen that nobody will ever look at again. That's all I have left to tell you. 89 years to arrive at one simple thing. There is no time. There never was. And you are wasting it right now, sitting here listening to an old man. Go, get out of here. Live. Do everything I didn't do, before it's too late for you too.